All right, let's dive into something, well, pretty fascinating. We're going to break down a major piece of research from Harvard that connects one of life's greatest pleasures with a really serious health benefit. We're talking about a surprising link between how often a man has sex and his risk for prostate cancer.
I mean, think about that question for a second. It's kind of bold, right? So much of the health advice we get is a long list of things we have to give up or cut back on. But this research, it totally flips that script. It suggests a preventative measure that, a lot of people might actually look forward to.
So we all know the standard health playbook, right? Eat your veggies, hit the gym. But the science we're looking at today adds a brand new and pretty surprising chapter. It's one that moves way beyond the kitchen and the weight room.
And let's be honest, for a long time, health advice for men has had this really restrictive vibe. Cut back on this, reduce that, limit the other thing. It's just a long list of don'ts. And while that stuff can be effective, it's not always the most motivating, is it? This is where it gets really interesting. The research introduces what you might call a positive prescription. So instead of taking something away, it's about adding something beneficial and, well, enjoyable. That's a huge psychological shift in how we approach staying healthy. Okay, so let's get to the actual evidence, because this isn't just some small survey. The claims we're about to explore come from one of the most credible places in medicine, a massive, long-term study straight out of Harvard. And when I say massive, I really mean it. The health professionals' follow-up study tracked almost 32,000 men for nearly 2 decades, 18 years. Data on that scale, over that much time, is pretty much the gold standard in this kind of research. It gives the findings some serious weight. The whole study was focused right here, on the prostate. It's a small gland, a critical part of the male reproductive system, but it's also, unfortunately, a very common site for cancer in men, which is exactly why this kind of preventative research is so incredibly important. So after tracking all these thousands of men for all those years, the researchers at Harvard started to see a really clear pattern emerge from the data. A specific frequency, a kind of monthly target that just kept popping up as a huge factor in lowering a man's risk. So what was the number? There it is, 21. The study found that men who ejaculated 21 or more times a month had a significantly lower risk of developing prostate cancer. It's a surprisingly specific number, and one you can actually act on. And here's what that actually looks like in the real world. If you compare men who are in the 4 to 7 times a month range to those who hit that target of 21 or more, the high-frequency groups saw their risk drop by about 20%. For something that doesn't involve a prescription pill, that is a huge reduction. Now, the details here are really important too. This benefit wasn't just for older guys. They saw it across different age groups. And it seems to be a purely mechanical benefit, which means the method doesn't matter. Intercourse, masturbation, they both offered the same protective effect. That makes this accessible to pretty much everyone. Okay, so we've got a strong connection. The next obvious question is, why? I mean, what's actually happening in the body to cause this? Well, scientists have a couple of primary theories. Let's break these two ideas down. The first one is called the prostate stagnation hypothesis. The idea is actually pretty simple. Think of it like flushing a pipe. The prostate makes fluids, and over time, some potentially cancer-causing substances can build up in there. So regular ejaculation just clears everything out, preventing that harmful buildup. The second theory is all about stress. We know that chronic stress is terrible for our immune system. Orgasms, on the other hand, are a powerful natural stress buster. By lowering stress hormones, you're helping keep your immune system strong, making your body a much tougher place for cancer cells to grow. Now, we have to be really clear about the science here. The researchers themselves point out that this is an observational study. It shows a really powerful link, a correlation, but it doesn't prove that one thing causes the other. It's possible that men with a higher frequency are just healthier in general for other reasons. Still, a connection this strong is pretty hard to ignore. So, the big question, how can you actually apply this research to your own life? If you wanted to put this into practice, the source material actually lays out a pretty clear checklist. Look, this isn't an all-or-nothing thing. Let's walk through it. First, just aim for the optimal zone. Don't get hung up on hitting exactly 21. The point is that any increase from where you are now is a good thing. Second, keep it regular as you get older. The whole use it or lose it idea really applies here. It helps keep the tissue healthy. Third, and this is super important, prioritize safety. You gotta use protection with new partners because some STIs can actually harm the prostate and cancel out any of the benefits. Fourth, and this is a big one, this does not replace your regular screenings. It reduces risk, it doesn't make you immune. So keep getting your PSA checks. And finally, number 5, listen to your body. If you ever feel any pain or discomfort, see a urologist. So let's just zoom out for a second. What does this research really mean for the future of men's health? It kind of points toward a really significant and honestly empowering new way of looking at things.
The big takeaway is really a shift in mindset. You're moving the focus from restriction, from don't do this, to encouragement, to hey, do more of this. And that can make men way more engaged and proactive about their own health in a really positive, sustainable way.
And maybe the most powerful part of all of this is that it's free. It doesn't require a prescription or an expensive gym or some fancy diet. And since the method doesn't matter, it's an accessible health strategy for almost any man out there, no matter his relationship status or income. It basically democratizes a piece of preventative health.
And that leaves us with a really fascinating final thought. This Harvard study doesn't just give us a specific data-backed health tip. It challenges us to think differently. It makes you wonder, as we learn more and more about the human body, could the future of staying healthy involve not just discipline, but maybe, just maybe, a little more pleasure too?